Now to other news. The United States has now admitted its 10,000th Syrian refugee. The controversy over Syrian refugees coming to America has some people taking a close look at where they're going, and it turns out Boise is a destination high on the list.
In fact, a New York Times article shows the city of trees has welcomed in more Syrian refugees than the nation's two largest cities combined, New York City and Los Angeles. But why is it that a city of nearly 300,000 is seeing more than a city of 8 million, like New York City?
Well, that's a question that we asked our Dean Johnson to try to get some answers to, and he joins us live with what he's been able to find out. Dean?
Well, Dee and Kim, today I spoke with local experts here on refugees to find out why a city like Boise is receiving more Syrian refugees than a place 6 times our size like Los Angeles. They tell me one of the reasons, the success of our programs here, as well as the people that live here.
The bottom line really is that refugees have very little choice in where they're going to go. They've been driven away from their homes. They can't go back in safety and security.
Jan Reeves with the Idaho Office of Refugees says Idaho has been resettling refugees since the mid-1970s. And over that period of 40 years has seen roughly 20,000 come to the Gem State.
Roughly 1,000 to 1,100 refugees arrive in Idaho each year, and this has been true for about the last 4 or 5 years.
Renee Hage with World Relief says those refugees are coming from all over the world.
Boise is pretty diverse. We don't just get one group of people, we get several, so they could be coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, they could be coming from Somalia, they could be coming from Iraq, a few are coming from Syria.
Since 2012, as a part of President Obama's resettlement program, 10,000 Syrian refugees have been resettled in cities across the United States, including right here in Boise.
About 10% of the refugees that have arrived this year have come from Syria, so 1 in 10. And if you look at the national numbers, 10,000 Syrian refugees, with Idaho receiving a little over 100, 1% of the totals.
Hage says when organizations do look to resettle refugees, they'll look at places where they can be successful and where it's more affordable, which isn't LA or New York City.
They wouldn't be targeted to go to those communities. Those communities are very expensive. They're very hard to serve someone if there's not a family tie or connection there, so they're really not sent there.
And Boise is a popular place due to our track record.
For the refugee program, I think it's the success that we've continually had in Boise. I think that we're very successful at getting them into their homes and getting them started.
Which Hage says is due mainly to the people who live here.
But I really think it's the people, because the greatest success of integration and welcome is people meeting people.
Actually, Boise has been recognized nationally and even internationally in some situations as a welcoming community.
Reeves says 2/3 of the refugees that settled here in the Gem State are settled right here down in Boise, with the other 1/3 going down to Twin Falls. Now, Kim and Dee, I do want to mention that there is an art exhibit showcasing some of the refugees that are here in the Gem State. It's going to take place at 7 o'clock at the Linen Building right downtown. There they'll have food and they'll have performance by those refugees that are in that art exhibit. Again, that's at 7 o'clock at the Linen Building.